Now we turn to a case that seems like something straight out of a horror movie. Two 12-year-old girls in Wisconsin accused of trying to kill their friend, and they're now being treated and charged as adults. Police say the girls lured the victim into the woods and stabbed her 19 times. They left her for dead. However, thankfully she survived thanks to a bicyclist who spotted her after she crawled out of the woods. The girls believed that if they murdered her, they would become agents for a fictional internet character named Slender Man. The girls facing first-degree intentional homicide charges and could face up to 65 years behind bars. And Mayo, you've dealt with some awful cases when you were with the biased crimes unit and stuff. This was planned for months. This wasn't just some random act here of rage. However, they are 12. I can think if I was that poor girl's parents that crawled to a roadside after what happened, this is the definition of evil. But if I'm the parents of the kids, I'm saying they're messed up 12-year-olds. Where is that line between adult and kid on a very adult action?
I think that studies show that the brain does not fully develop until at least 25. Some people suggest even to the early 30s. I think that clearly it's premeditated. Whether this is really because of this cartoon character or comic book character, we will never know. But what I do believe is they should be treated as juveniles. They don't need to be in the adult criminal justice system. And we can create in the juvenile system appropriate measures to make sure that they're dealt with and that they're not going to be threats to society.
Translate what that means. If they're 12, they serve till 18, but do they then get transferred to an adult facility? I mean, or do they get out at 18? How does it work?
I would not necessarily say you get out at 18, and I think that, again, we can be creative. Legislators write laws every single day. Some of them good, some of them we wonder why they've been written. But we can certainly fashion an alternative that allows us to reevaluate them at 18. I don't think that just because you become 18, you get a free pass and you're home and you're out in society, because obviously there's some serious issues here.
Is evil evil, though? Whether it's 12, whether it's, I mean, to me, I've always struggled with this one because if somebody says, well, 16, they're an adult, but 15, it seems, and we know different kids. Some kids are mature at 12, some are infantile. It just seems to be such a moving standard or target here. It's hard to judge. How do you?
Well, I mean, the thing that I would look at immediately is they set up these laws for a reason. So anytime you have something like this happen, I mean, if you're the family, even if you're somebody who's listening to the facts, you're immediately repulsed and you say they should serve as much time as they can and put it, lock them up, throw away the key. But the reality is, prior to this happening, the legislature thought about this and they said, we don't want to treat them like adults. We want them to have other options. And, cooler heads sometimes have to prevail. I mean,
you can't treat a 12-year-old as an adult, and you can't just look at the nature of the crime and just decide that because it's so heinous or so evil, as you say, that we're going to turn a 12-year-old into an adult where we otherwise know we never would. There are other alternatives in terms of figuring out how this happened, where it came from, and what to do with these individuals. And, if they remain as they are, then they don't get out when they're 18.
I'll say as a sidebar, and we don't have time for it tonight, I always hate the cop out of blaming the media or whatever. I looked at this game here that this internet company put out, and while blood may not be on their hands, there needs to be some soul searching for folks, not just with this game, but others, when you're dealing with impressionable minds, and this is the target audience. Maybe they didn't think they were going to drag some girl into the woods, but you are playing with fire with formative children here, and you're putting this kind of stuff in front of them, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, when we come back, everyone, new developments surrounding former Brooklyn DA, that's the district attorney, Charles Hines. Turns out the investigator leading the probe into the misuse of funds, if the story could get even weirder, he backed Hines' campaign rival. We'll talk about that and more after this.